Hello, welcome. I am Vamsi and I'm here with my wonderful husband. And welcome to our conversations about a lot of healing modalities, about how we get through life, about so many other juicy topics that we love to talk about anyways. So we thought we'll just share our thoughts with you guys as well, and maybe it might help some of you, or like we might get to hear some interesting perspectives. Today we're gonna actually start talking about a topic that both of us are very passionate about, and something that has brought a big change in our lives to a certain extent, and one of our favorite healing modalities.
That's meditation.
So first I'm just going to share quickly my journey. By meditation, we're actually talking about a particular type of meditation called Vipassana. Vipassana meditation, I'm not going to get too deep into what it is and how it's done, etc. But it's actually brought in here by Mr. Goenka. And it's a 10-day retreat, basically. You just go for 10 days. There is no phone. There is no conversation, basically. You don't speak to anyone. You're just to yourself. And you're learning these wonderful techniques of meditation. And there's literally no religion involved in any of it, basically. So my journey with Vipassana was a very interesting and magical one, actually. I came across this technique because of there's a huge pagoda right here in Mumbai, near Mumbai actually. It's a fantastic huge pagoda, and we went there as tourists, and it just caught my eye. I've always wanted to explore spirituality in some way, and I always knew there's more to myself. So when I came across this whole technique in that pagoda, actually both me and my husband, we found it very intriguing for sure. But as we always do, city dwellers, we put these things out of our minds, just progressing in career and figuring out survival, etc. It actually never crossed my mind to get into it. And 10 days seem like a long time for people living in Mumbai to live in solitude, to take such a big chunk out of your life and go and do it. So never ended up doing it. But there was a time in my life where a lot of things worked out in such a way that I ended up going into a very bad bout of depression and anxiety. And, I never ever thought that I would ever experience that. I'm saying that not to say that depression and anxiety happen to certain type of people. Of course, that's not true. But I always thought that I was a very positive kind of a person, and I was very headstrong, in how I did things. Basically, like I just did that and I went for it. Like, if you guys don't know, I was actually into advertising, and I did that job for like 3 to 4 years, and then I always wanted to do music. Never got to do that because of barely any support from anyone except for my husband. And I just one fine day got up and decided that I'm quitting the job. I'm getting into teaching, singing, and getting into performing full time. So that's what I was doing at that time. And it so happened that I started getting these very strong anxiety attacks, and I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think straight. I was just in a full panic mode, and the depression bouts were very powerful. I could barely even get out of bed, to be honest. Doing the simplest of things like having a shower, which is one of my favorite things, I couldn't even think of doing that. That was the point when I realized, girl, we're not okay. We're not okay. We're not even able to get up and have a bath. or talk to anyone. And I used to also, like, of course, feel very bad because my husband used to feel bad for me, and I couldn't share much with him as well because I didn't want to drag him down. So all of this was happening, and I just knew that something is out there. There was some shred of strength still there in me. And at that point, I think it just struck me that, I had gone to a pagoda and there's this technique, meditation technique. I just remembered it and I was like, this is it. This is the time. This is now or never. I need to save my life. Yeah. And I just went for it. I did. I booked the thing. I got into it and I just went for it. And I can easily say that it was one of the things that literally saved my life. It really did. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but it helped me overcome anxiety. It gave me the tools to figure out how to not get sucked into it. Of course, it didn't like magically cure me, like suddenly there was no anxiety. That was not the case. But it definitely gave me the tools to deal with anxiety. And that's how I got into Vipassana meditation, and that was my first time. And after that, I have done 3 courses and many one-day courses. Yeah, this has been my journey with meditation so far. And now I'm passing the mic on to my husband, and we're going to hear his journey about Vipassana meditation and how did he get into it.
I heard about Vipassana when I was a kid, and I was really fascinated by the idea of meditation and just sitting inside that small cell. Yeah. And I had first visited in Igatpuri with some of my relatives. So, anyways, years passed. I got married. I met Vamsi, my wife. And everything was magical and dreamlike. And yeah, so as we grow in marriage, as we grow in love, we also have to grow as individuals. And yeah, as Vamsi said, that she has attended 3 10-day courses. That was my actual inspiration to really go for it, because I really saw the changes in her before and after every course. And unlike other religious practices I've been into, or other sects of Buddhism I've been into, this one really was very simple, very plain. It did not have any prayers as such. It was more about observing ourselves, observing our breath, observing our sensations. And of course, Vamsi will tell you a lot more. She is much more experienced than me. But I just would like to say that it benefited me in a big way. Especially from overthinking and just having some limiting beliefs or overreacting. It really helped me a lot in overcoming those things. Over to you.
So what exactly was that one tipping point? Like, I remember telling you about Vipassana and about all the things related to it, and you did seem very intrigued and interested in it for sure. But I feel like there was this one tipping point where you decided, like how for me it was the anxiety and for all that stuff that I was going through. Like that, was there anything that pushed you to finally get out there and like apply for it and just go for it?
For me, it was mainly my gaming addiction. That was something I really wanted to work on. And at the same time, it kept drawing me back into the game. Not just for the game itself, but I like the fact that I was interacting, socializing with people all around the world. And at some point, I realized that that's something I want to do in real life as well, not just be stuck to a game. And I needed something to get me there. Like, I knew what I wanted, I just didn't know how to get there. So that that was actually the point, I would say, the tipping point, where I thought might as well give this a chance to. I tried so many things in life, read so many self-help books, followed so many psychologists on Instagram, read about spiritual things and many methods, but I realized that I actually had to put these things into practice and really embody them. So I thought, why not try something in which I've seen my own wife grow and really transform. So I was like, yes, now I'm gonna do it.
That's so awesome. I love that. So before we move, I would like to tell the listeners a little bit about how it's a little different from other kind of meditations and other practices. I'm not here to say it's better or worse, but it's just me pointing out the differences. That's all. So basically, this is all about really feeling sensations and breath, feeling it all in your body. Like we hear about mindfulness, about being in the present. That is for sure. That is a big part of it. But it's also about really observing impartially, without hatred or without, too much pleasure and craving towards what you're feeling, and seeing things and feeling things for what they truly are. Not from your mind, but from your actual body, like feeling them. A lot of times I feel what we end up doing is we end up getting stuck in our heads a lot when we live life, right? We tend to give a lot of power to the mind and thoughts. So we tend to end up like being controlled by them almost, and take them too seriously, to be honest. But what Vipassana does is, I feel it really gets us out of our head and into our body more, where I think you read recently that most of the emotions, most of the things are actually coming from the body, because there's so much stored habitual patterns, so much trauma, so much of reactive patterns actually stored in our body, not in our mind. Our mind is more of an observer and analyzer. Yeah, so this really puts us into the actual iceberg, not just the tip, the actual iceberg, that is our body and the sensations and all the stored energies in different parts of our body. And I think that really makes a big difference in actually bringing about change, not just philosophizing things and not just trying to understand from our brain and intellect. It's more about actually experiencing things in our brain. It's like experiential wisdom, basically, which we feel in our body. So that's what I feel really sets us apart, it sets Vipassana apart from the rest of the techniques. And also, it's just watching things for what it is and not what we'd like to be. Like, there are no mantras, there are no chantings, there's nothing external, basically. We're not adding anything to it. We're just seeing things for what it is. And that's something very simple and beautiful about it, don't you think?
Yes, that's exactly what I felt too when I joined it. It was more about just being there, being more aware, more in touch with your breath without trying to change anything. It was more real, more applicable. Again, I'm not trying to put any other religions down or any other practices down, but I'm just saying that this worked for me. And yeah, so that's that.
So I wanted to check with you, like, how hard or easy was the whole 10-day experience for you? Like, different aspects of it, being quiet for 10 days, the phone aspect, not having the phone for 10 days. What parts of it felt really hard? What parts of it felt pretty easy?
So after having gaming addiction and scrolling addiction, I would say, it was, I thought it would be like extremely hard, because I would all the time, anytime I would get any intense feeling or I wanted to distract myself, I would immediately turn to the phone. So I didn't have that there. I had to ultimately face things, stop running away. And yeah, so the best part about Vipassana's teaching is to observe things with equanimity. As Vamsi said before, like no hatred or aversion, and no clinging to any satisfying feeling either. So yeah, just being there. The practice was hard. Yes, it was hard. There were, around the fourth day, I wanted to probably leave from there. Two others left as well. So yeah, that was the day I thought, why not just give it little more try. I stayed there, and then I managed to do the remaining days. Came out after 10 days successful.
So, which part did you find what was the easy part basically?
The easy part was during the whole practice.
What did you find easy? Was anything easy?
Now that I think about it, it was quite hard all throughout. But it was great to have Goenkaji was guiding us throughout the meditation. He already knew what things we would be going through each and every day. It was great to have a place to stay, food to eat, and everything taken care of without any cost. So we could focus just on ourselves and have that guidance and support from everyone, while just focusing on what you're feeling, what you're thinking. Yeah.
Absolutely. For me, the easy part was the food. I couldn't wait to just run to the hall and just see what's there today. And there were interesting breakfasts and nice food. So yeah, the atmosphere is just wonderful. I made some really good friends as well. It's just something really magical about people from all over the world, literally coming to this one place to better themselves and really feel better and do better and just ascend spiritually. And I think that's just the best room that anyone can be in. Everyone is there to ascend and expand themselves. And it literally feels like a portal of expansion, because so many people are fighting so many fears in those 10 days. You're fighting literally every fear. There's no escape, like you said. And there shouldn't be, honestly. Right? Sometimes it's all right, but like most of the times, what's the point of escaping? Because it just multiplies and comes back tenfolds and just becomes worse, you know? So yeah, that was the most beautiful part to me, to see how many people are there. Even so many pregnant ladies. That was amazing to see, you know. Every time I would be like, I don't know if I can do this. I would just look to those women who were like, 6-7 months pregnant, you with huge bellies, They were sitting and they literally did the whole 10 days. And I was like, wow, if they can do it, I literally have no excuse. And also, really old people, pregnant women, even younger kids, like 12, 13 years old kids. It was so inspiring to see people from all walks of life doing this with me. And the last day, we have this wonderful practice where we're sending out loving kindness and compassion to everyone, and including ourselves, to the whole world, to whoever we want, and people around in the room. And that's just a wonderful energy to be in. It just feels like there's so much love. Your faith in humanity is restored. It's just a wonderful feeling. So yeah, those were the easy parts. The hard parts for me was the phone, for sure. The first time, the second and third time, it didn't feel that much. In fact, I was a little relieved to be without the phone, to be honest. But the first time, I was really addicted to the phone, to opening up stuff. Sometimes I would not even realize my fingers are going on the apps and opening them by themselves. Right? So that was weird. Without the phone and me being alone in the room. Sometimes, you can share rooms, that's an option, but I preferred to be alone. But that was scary for me because I'd never stayed alone before in the night, and that too, it was like a jungle kind of place. So that was very difficult. And the kind of stuff that came up for me the first time, all my demons just coming up, having a gala with me. So that was the very tough part for me. And physically it's a bit exhausting too, because you're sitting there for 8-9 hours. And I'm used to doing that in desk jobs, but here you're not just sitting and mindlessly doing some stuff. You're literally working through everything in your body and trying to control your mind, and that's hard work. So, which brings me to the next question. Do you think this is for everyone?
I personally don't think it's for everyone, because there are cases where you need a lot of psychiatric treatment, and again, if you're coming from very strong beliefs, it's again hard to let go of those things. So yeah, again, it's not easy to do it if you have physical pains as well. Though, even though I had a lot of physical pain, I did sit through it. And through the practice, you get to observe, you get to see that pain. Like, my teacher actually explained it to me, like how we are made up of all the elements of nature. So he was like, if you observe a particular pain, like just on the surface level, your bone, your skin, that is the element of earth. Then you keep observing it, you go deeper into it, you feel the what do you call that, the actual burning sensation, that is fire. Then if you go deeper into it, you'll realize the pulse, your heart beating and fluids flowing in it, that's water. And if you go even deeper into it, you'll just feel that little vibrating feeling, that little, I don't know how to describe it, but like you feel that air or that tingling or something. That is like the element of air. So yeah, we are made up of all those elements, and it just taught me a lot of things. And when you just sit and observe, you realize that the things tend to pass. And while I was observing, there were a lot of things that came to my mind, a lot of memories that came up, which I thought I'd forgotten, but it took me like all the way till my childhood and early childhood. And things that created or something that I probably held on to, traumas, or why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking now, my current habit patterns, what limiting beliefs I have now. I also had moments where I cried out a lot, and I remembered the times when I actually felt hurt. So I had to release those things. So Vipassana did help me a lot in those ways.
When it comes to answering, like, is it for everyone? I think it. I would say that in a way that it is for everyone, but not. No, I want to rephrase that. It is for everyone, but at different stages in their lives, basically. Like, I feel like everyone at some point needs to be doing some version of this. Even if you don't call it Vipassana, at the end of the day, what is it? It's about being one with your body and feeling the sensations, and which everybody has. It's not like only some people have sensations, right? We all have sensations. We all have we stored trauma. We all have, all of these things happening in our body all the time. So yes, as a human being with a body and with a life, I think everyone will be doing it at some degree in their lives. But I feel like you do need a certain amount of strength in your spirit to be able to embark this journey. Like we said, we both were in little denser states before, where we were consciously trying to escape the things that were plaguing us. There were issues inside and we weren't ready to face them. So in that time, when we weren't ready and we were really deep in that, if we didn't have that strong desire to ascend, we probably would have not even done it. Forget lasting for 10 days. You need to have a little bit of mental strength in this process. Because imagine, like, I remember there was a girl who came for one of the courses, and she was in a state where she did not have the mental strength to accept and face the problems that she had. When the problems came up, it literally scared her so much, and it showed up in her body in such a violent way that she could not face it. She really couldn't. That's why she ran away from the course. So when things come up, you need to have some sort of mental fortitude, some amount of strength to really keep going. Because it's definitely not easy, like we discussed. And none of the inner work is ever easy, like completely easy, right? That's the point of it. Because we're trying to get over the difficult parts in our lives. It gets better for sure. Like, I can tell you now, I feel much lighter, much happier. And even when there are times like today I wasn't feeling my best, I still have the tools to get over it much easier and much faster. Within half an hour, I was able to get myself back to the high vibes. So I'm telling you that it does get better over time. But in the beginning, when you're just embarking on the journey, you need to develop some amount of mental fortitude and some amount of desire to really keep pushing and going ahead. Like any skill, to be honest, like whenever you're learning something, in the beginning is the most tough part, right? Even when I was learning singing, in the beginning, it felt like, wow, will I ever get anywhere? It felt like that. But I kept pushing and I had the passion and desire and the mental fortitude to do it. And keep doing it. And that's how we get somewhere with any skill. So this is no different, but it's a little more difficult in this because it's got something to do with traumas and difficult emotions and feelings that we all try to avoid. So let's move on. I wanted to know whether you think, is it the only thing a person should do in their inner work journey? Or do you think a person should diversify and do other things as well?
Well, one of the things they teach you in the meditation is when you're learning it, you should learn it in its pure form without mixing things like yoga, the physical exercises, other chants, other religious practices. To just learn it in its pure form. And I would say initially I was little tempted to mix and match and try to see what works for me. But I realized that, then I would not get the actual result of Vipassana itself. It would be my own making. So I went with its guidelines, and I purely did Vipassana. And yes, it gave me a whole new way to see life and observe what I was doing previously and stuff. But later on, I do admit that later on I did add few things which I've learned and still learning from psychologists, from other spiritual practitioners. And somehow I would say they all, when they all get to the roots, it kind of leads back to Vipassana itself. Whether it is somatic healing or whether it is, great other spiritual practices that I have been following, or even great psychologists, and for that case, somehow they all get back to, it all leads back to Vipassana, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, because ultimately it's all about the body and your breath and your own self, right? That's what Vipassana is ultimately, developing wisdom, clearing and sharpening your mind. But yeah, like you said, it is a great tool, an amazing tool. But for me, it wasn't the only thing that helped me, to be honest. Right? Like, of course, if I kept doing only Vipassana and nothing else, it would definitely help me and get me somewhere. But I do feel like the other things helped speed up the process in many ways. Understanding other forms of healing, understanding other ways of changing my thoughts and my mind. Even the surface level stuff sometimes is important, right? Even the mind, like when I started this whole journey, even before Vipassana, I had got into affirmations. At that point, I needed affirmations, because my self-talk was so horrible. I used to literally put myself down every single time. I used to be very hateful to myself. I used to be my worst critic. And I just didn't like myself at all. And that negative self-talk impacted a lot of things, right? And affirmations helped change that, at least on the surface level. How my body felt about things, yeah, maybe affirmations doesn't completely change that, but at least the script that was going on in my head about how I was a loser, how I was good for nothing, I'm a clumsy person, this and that, all these stories that I used to tell myself in my head, that needed changing. And that was where affirmations came and really helped me a lot. So I'll just touch on a few things that actually helped me. We'll definitely get into all the things very deeply in other episodes. But today we'll discuss little bit about what are the other modalities that we've tried to make ourselves better people overall, right? And Vipassana is at the center of all of it. Like you said, everything does ultimately lead back to Vipassana, and as a tool, it helps all the other modalities we're trying. Like even yoga, for that matter. When I do yoga, Vipassana makes yoga practice even better for me, because I'm able to really feel all the things happening in my body while I'm doing yoga, while I'm doing workouts, while I am singing, while I am saying affirmations. I'm just able to root myself in my body so much better with Vipassana. So Vipassana is not separate from all of these things. It's ultimately at the root of all of it. But for the branches coming out of it are all these other modalities. So affirmations definitely started the whole process for me. And all the other inner work like journaling helped me a lot. If you see my journals years ago, it was like just an angry person hating the world, just vomiting out all the hatred on my journal. That's how it used to look. But as I figured out more journal prompts, more exercises that you can do properly in the journal, that helped guide the process a bit more instead of just blurting and vomiting out all the negative emotions on the journal, which has its place. But yeah, journaling helped a lot when done properly, in a good way. And a lot of other things, like I got into the whole divine feminine, divine masculine energy work. That was very life-changing also for me. And there was also movement stuff, like really learning. We both did a workshop, remember? Like we did a workshop where we had to move our body in different ways, just flowing with the music. What was it called?
The 5 Rhythms workshop.
5 Rhythms workshop in Pondicherry. That really opened the gate for movement as a healing modality for us. Like really playing music and just losing ourselves. And it's not just about losing ourselves, it's more about really intentionally moving your body in a very flow state kind of a movement. And that really helps a lot in moving up stuck energy, all these kind of feeling a little more free in the body, getting more comfortable. Again, at the root of it, Vipassana is there. It helps me feel the body and the movements even deeper. You know what I'm saying? It just enhances all the practices. But yeah, all these practices have their place. And movement is definitely a great thing, healing modality for me. Sound healing has been huge as well. We definitely did listen to a lot of frequencies, different frequencies to feel and waken up different things in our body. We totally loved that. We used to put it on all night and just wake up with a much better mindset. Gratitude work definitely helped a lot. So yeah, there are all these other things that we can do to become better people.
And breath work.
Yes, breath work. Breath work is huge. And as a singer, I was introduced to breath work a long time ago, but I never really thought of it as something for other than singing. I thought it was just for, making a voice louder or bigger or just control better. But it's not just about controlling. It's also about really moving that energy within your body in different ways. So we definitely got into breath work. That helped a lot. So these are the things that I have been doing other than with Vipassana at the root of it. It's not other than Vipassana, with Vipassana at the root of all of it. What else has been helping you?
Well, honestly, what else has been helping me is you. Because you've been guiding me a lot through your own experiences. Of course, I've done a lot of research and trial myself, and putting what I've learned, what you've learned and experienced into my own experiences, that has helped a lot. So, as you said, journaling, affirming, movement, the inner child healing. Again, A lot of guidance from psychologists, a lot of I even follow some channels where they do a lot of star sign reading, zodiac sign reading. So yeah, this the channel called Everything Aligns usually does align with everything I'm going through. And of course, in the past, I've also tried other sects of Buddhism, like that was more of a chanting to raise our vibration. Because again, the law of vibration, you attract the way you are vibrating. Yeah, I had even tried zero meditation, where you keep, you keep removing down barriers of your thoughts while you're focusing on like a circular object. It looks like a target, and you kind of release all your ego. Actually, you let go of your ego in that, and you're again like a newborn person in the world, with a fresh approach, a fresh mindset. So yeah, I tried that as well. Yep.
So, very interestingly, other than all of these healing modalities, we are actually in professions that themselves have a lot of healing effects also. Don't you think so? We both are coaches, first of all. We are both teachers, which is itself a very healing and beautiful profession to be in. Because you're really seeing that love and getting to cultivate that love with yourself and your students in the most pure way. So I'm a singer and a vocal coach, and my husband.
Well, I'm Brennen Thomas. I'm a skating coach. I teach coaches as well how to teach, and I've been teaching since the past 14 years. And if you'd go back into my childhood, I was a very shy, silent person, not talking much to people, more with very few friends, and a lot of lack of confidence, and just doubting myself a lot. So coaching was something that really helped me break all those barriers. I became a good public speaker. I became good at entertaining. I became loud and clear. I became very confident. And as you teach, you learn more. You learn from their mistakes. You become even more skilled at teaching and predicting what can happen next, and how to help a student, learn much faster. So yeah, it has been a healing journey for me as well. The fact that, because I would say I was a slow learner in some things, and I was extremely fast in some things. So learning, teaching, they go hand in hand. Yeah, it has helped me discover myself in the process. So teaching is definitely healing and therapeutic, I would say, and challenging too.
Yeah. And what about skating? Does that also feel meditative and healing to you?
Oh, skating, as a skater, I feel that skating is like meditation in motion. It gives you that feeling like you're flying. You have no choice but to be in the present moment, or you'll have a very bad fall. It's thrilling, it's challenging, it's freeing, it's flowing, and it's very cool at the same time. I feel proud, I feel confident. I feel, of course, stronger and fitter after skating. So yeah, that's my meditation in motion.
Absolutely. I can totally relate to that because singing feels the same way too. It really brings you back to your body, and you really feel that, that sound vibration, the frequencies that we were talking about, you feel that in your body. Like when you're singing stuff of course, that is uplifting, and or any kind of expressive stuff. Singing is just a form of expression. So what it helps you do is, instead of running away from your emotions, it does help you channel it and express it. So in a way, you are doing some sort of a meditation, because you are um, really facing and feeling emotions, if you are singing well, of course. So when you're singing with emotion, you feel the emotion inside and you express it and channel it. So again, not much of room to get stuck in your head, because if you get stuck in your head, you might not sing that well. It might not sound very expressive. You might miss a note, and if you're lost somewhere, you will miss notes, you will miss timing. So yeah, it completely keeps you in the moment, and it feels very soulful and beautiful. um I think there's a place for all of these things in our life to some degree. Yeah, shadow work has been a huge thing. Again, we'll cover that in another episode. All of these things, inner child healing, shadow work, sound healing. We'll definitely expand on all of these more. But shadow work has been a huge thing for me and my husband both. It's a work in progress. We're not gonna lie and say like we've done it all. All of these modalities, we have to continuously use them in our lives whenever required. With Vipassana at the root of it, and getting back to that, how did Vipassana help you become a better coach? Did it help you become a better coach? Did it help you become a better skater and a better coach?
Yes, of course it did. Especially when I was in tough situations. If you're teaching large groups, especially smaller students, it taught me how to, pull out of that situation, not get too involved, not get too irritated or too angry, or I just observe what I was going through. By which I calm myself down and I approach that situation in a much calmer yet firm yet confident manner. So seeing that, what's it called? Regulating your emotions, like that's what psychologists call it. So Vipassana helped me do that as well, which it helped me become a better coach, without a doubt. In terms of becoming a better skater, yes, I would say yes for that as well. Because when I'm learning a new skill or tougher, more challenging skill, again I need to be very aware of what my body is going through, not unnecessarily push myself, end up being injured, and learning things step by step, not judging myself in the process, or being too hard on myself, appreciating what I've done right. Again, these are not qualities that Vipassana gave me. I already had some of these qualities, but it just like amplified them a bit, I would say.
Correct. Yeah, same here. Like being a coach, sometimes you have to deal with students who are a little bit more challenging. Like I remember I was teaching a special needs student, and actually quite a few special needs students, and we tend to get very emotionally drawn into students sometimes, and it can get frustrating when we're not able to get through to them as we want to, and instead of seeing the situation for actually what it is, we can get more emotional about it and feel bad about it, or not react well, etc. Not just for special needs students, but for any challenging student or challenging situation in coaching. It does require a lot of being in the moment. First of all, we can't keep getting lost in our thoughts while coaching. That's not a great thing to do. And also helping them feel calm and more grounded. And that will happen when we're actually seeing the situation for what it is, and not through the lens of our own emotions and our own preconceived notions. You know what I'm saying? So it really definitely helps coaching from a more compassionate point of view. We definitely develop much more compassion doing the Vipassana practice, and more understanding of what a person would be feeling, become more, what do you say, we can definitely put ourselves in their shoes much better with Vipassana. So I feel like, yeah, it definitely enhances singing experience for me and coaching experience for me, and it has amplified such beautiful emotions in the rest of my life as well. Anything else you'd want to add about meditation, about any other modalities?
Yeah, but I guess we'll speak about all of that in the next episode.
That sounds awesome, and thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. Do follow us on Instagram. We'll put I think we can put the details in the description. Definitely follow us there and let us know about your thoughts. Like, if you have any thoughts about what we've spoken, definitely drop your comments. Let us know if you have tried any modalities that we haven't heard of. We always definitely looking to expand further, learn new things, and we're definitely gonna interview some interesting people who are experts in all of these fields, hopefully, and bring you a lot more information and interesting topics for you to listen to and enjoy.
Ciao.
See you in another episode, guys. Bye bye.